Finding amazing gear is a sure way of improving your experience with a game, as it lets you feel like an indestructible god. Unfortunately, as makes sense most of the time, you gotta wait until the very end of the game for the best gear. But who has time for that? You want to feel the power of your character as soon as they get released into the world. And luckily, this is actually a completely reasonable and attainable desire in some games. Some of the god tier weapons and armor in video games can be found within the first hour, so long as you know where to look for it. Check out the following items and make sure to pick them up on your next playthrough. It's as easy as doing a little detour in the first hour of the game. I'm Jess from WhatCulture, and here are 10 powerful video game items you can find in the first hour. Number 10. Katana, Dead Rising. Katanas, just like chainsaws and spiked baseball bats, have been a staple of the zombie apocalypse for the longest. You might be asking why, but once you get your hands on the katana from Dead Rising 1, the answer becomes pretty obvious. The damage, durability, and ability to slash multiple zombies at once make the katana the perfect weapon for cutting through hordes of zombies. You can kill dozens of them before you even need to think of replacing your weapon, plus you look really stylish doing it. The best thing about the katana in this game, though, is that you can get your hands on it as soon as you enter the Willamette Mall. All you need to do is jump on top of the awning located above the juice shop near the exit from the safe house. The katana is just lying there, making it both a powerful early weapon and an easily replaceable one. You have to wonder though, who just throws away a katana and then leaves it on the roof of a juice store? Some poor samurai must have had a really tough day. Number 9. Transform into a snapper scroll, Gothic 2. Gothic 2 is a fantastic 2002 action RPG where you're on a quest to defeat an army of dragons. The game assumes that you'll fulfill this task by joining factions and gaining powerful allies. However, if you're in a real hurry, a quick visit to a local store is just as good. Corinus, the first city that you'll visit in the game, is home to an old bloke called Ignaz, who sells magical scrolls for dirt cheap. Some of these scrolls allow you to turn into powerful beasts that have a ton of HP and a ludicrous amount of attack power. And you can stay in their form long enough to go on a rampage throughout the world, wiping half of its population and giving yourself enough experience points to reach Gothic 2's level cap. You reach Corinus within the first 20 minutes of the game. Getting 200 gold to purchase one of Ignaz's scrolls is at best another 20 minutes of extra work, and it saves you a ton of time trying to level up your character later. I mean, who needs paladins when you can just transform yourself into a raptor? Number 8. Serpentine Silver Sword, The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 allows you to upgrade your gear with special diagrams that are hidden throughout the world. The endgame result is the Mastercraft armor sets that provide Geralt with a powerful buff. However, before you get there, you might want to start with something much simpler to give you an edge early on. At the start of the game, it's relatively tricky for the player to get their hands on a really good silver sword. However, the starting location of White Orchard does include a secret schematic for a serpentine silver sword, which is easy to craft and provides players with unique buffs that no other starting weapon can offer. To find the sword schematic, you simply need to visit the graveyard north of White Orchard's mill. Now, the place is guarded by a wraith, but it's nothing a solid Witcher can't deal with. The sword is strong enough to get you through the White Orchard questline, plus it gives you more experience for killing monsters, allowing you to level up much more quickly. You'll probably want to replace it with stronger gear once you're finally allowed to travel to Velen, but until then, the Serpentine Sword will be your best friend. Number 7. M96 MATTOCK, Mass Effect 2. M96 MATTOCK is a powerful assault rifle introduced in the Firepower Pack DLC for Mass Effect 2. It packs a lot of punch and has a really satisfying heavy sound whenever you unload it on incoming enemies. In the original Mass Effect 2, the MATTOCK was available to use right from the beginning of the game so long as you had the DLC installed. It was pretty insane considering the rifle had amazing accuracy, low recoil, and a really high base damage output. You were able to get through the entire game with just the M96 MATTOCK as your primary weapon, and it would honestly make you feel pretty powerful all the way through. The recently released Legendary Edition of Mass Effect 2 also features the M96 MATTOCK, however the player needs to purchase it from a vendor on Omega. That's not that bad of a deal either, as the Shady Space Station is one of the first locations you'll visit in the game. Overall, the M96 MATTOCK is a weapon you can get your hands on fairly quickly, and once you do, the rest of your experience with Mass Effect 2 will be as easy as pulling the trigger. Number 6. Bleeder of Souls, Dragon Age Inquisition. Being an action RPG, Dragon Age Inquisition provides the player with many different options in terms of story and their playstyle. Additionally, if you make the right choices within the first hour of the game, you might end up with a really powerful weapon for the rogue characters on your roster. After you complete the prologue and visit the Chantry in Val Royeaux, you're presented with 2 potential allies for your Inquisition: the Templars of the Chantry or the Rebel Mages in Redcliffe. If you pick the latter, you end up fighting a cult of Venatori sorcerers, and this is where you might obtain a special dagger called the Bleeder of Souls. Despite only being a level 4 weapon, the damage output on this thing is really impressive and it has a higher chance of landing crits. Additionally, you can obtain it by defeating a mage who's torturing a helpless priestess, so you can treat it as karma, rewarding you for your good deed. Sure, it's kind of weird that your reward for stopping someone's suffering is a tool for causing more suffering, but that's just karma for you. It works in mysterious ways. Number 5. FLAME-EMITTER and Shield Fusion, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. The new fusing mechanic introduced in Tears of the Kingdom opens up a whole new world of possibilities. You can build vehicles, traps, and more importantly, improvised weapons that can prove to be incredibly useful early in the game. One of the easiest and most entertaining weapon fusions you can make is the FLAME-EMITTER shield. As the name suggests, it's a shield with a flamethrower attached, so instead of just blocking attacks, you can set enemies alight. The simplicity of this fusion makes it a really easy weapon to craft early in the game. You really only need 2 ingredients for it: a shield and the FLAME-EMITTER device, which you can acquire after a quick hunt for zonite charges or a simple streak of good luck searching the world's treasure chests. If you're focused on getting it, you should be able to make this thing within the first hour of the game and then just enjoy setting ablaze everything in sight. After all, the best defense is a good offense. Number 4. Ring of Wizardry, Baldur's Gate 1. The biggest flaw of wizards in Baldur's Gate, and plenty of other games for that matter, is that their ability to cast spells is often limited by ability slots. You only get a set amount of slots to use, and if you run out of them, your wizard will be completely useless until their next rest. Luckily, there's an item to remedy your shortage of spell slots, and it can be found just south of the second major location you visit in the game. When you visit the Keep of the Friendly Arm Inn, you can search the bushes in the bottom right corner of the map to find the Ring of Wizardry, also known as Evermemory. This ring allows you to cast double the number of spells that you've got prepped in your level 1 slots. It's an excellent item for both low-level and high-level wizards. Early on, it lets you get way more utility out of your team's spellcasters, whereas at higher levels, you can use it to cast dozens of spells without ever having to take a rest. The ring was probably in the bushes because someone lost it, but that's not really your problem, is it? Number 3. Fat Man, Fallout 4. Anyone who's played a Fallout game can tell you how fun and powerful the Fat Man nuke launches can really be. The name says it all, they literally let you launch miniature nukes at your opponents. Although there are plenty of fat men scattered across the wasteland in Fallout 4, it usually takes the player a while to get their hands on their first nuke launcher. Unless you take a little detour from the intended path, and then you can get one in your inventory in less than 20 minutes. When you finish the prologue, instead of heading straight to Sanctuary, prompting the main quest, you can instead head left until you reach an invisible wall and then direct yourself towards a pre-war junkyard with a chest containing a Fat Man, a mini nuke, and a high-grade power armor that comes with its own fusion core. It's honestly an amazing getup to find right at the start of the game. What's even better is that it's located just across a hostile raider camp, just waiting for you to experiment with your newfound toys. Number 2. UCHIGATANA, Elden Ring. UCHIGATANA is a staple in the From Software titles. It's found in every single Souls game as well as Elden Ring. It's a pretty reliable weapon that deals a lot of damage, and if you keep upgrading it, you can keep it strong and powerful right until the very end of the game, which is pretty nifty considering that Elden Ring allows you to grab an UCHIGATANA almost as soon as you take your first step in the lands between. The sword is hidden inside the death-touched catacombs, just north of your starting location. The dungeon is filled with skeletons and confusing turns, but if you manage to deal with all of them, you'll find an UCHIGATANA lodged in the body of some poor soul who didn't make it out alive. The weapon has great base stats and scales really nicely with dexterity. It's the perfect blade to use on runs where you want to feel like a lone samurai venturing across the game world looking for worthy opponents. Well, that is until you come across a boss like Malenia who will immediately ruin your immersion with some good old-fashioned ass-whooping. Number 1. UMBRA, The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion. The Elder Scrolls series is no stranger to speedrun tactics and exploits. Since the game usually allows the player to visit most of the map right off the bat, it's possible to do things out of order, and as is the case with Oblivion, grab powerful endgame items before you're even properly done with the prologue. Umbra is a legendary sword that plays an integral part in the questline related to the Daedric prince, Clavicus the Vile. It has the highest base damage of any one-handed sword in the game, and is enchanted with the Soul Trap spell effect. And coincidentally, it's located just across the lake from where you'll begin your adventure in Cyrodiil. If you don't mind getting a little cheesy with the game, you can acquire Umbra within the first hour of your playthrough by swimming to its location and then killing its owner. The woman, also named Umbra, is an incredibly tough opponent, but as long as you have a bow, some arrows, and a safe vantage point to shoot from, the legendary sword is guaranteed to end up in your possession. After that, it's a smooth ride to the end of the game on the corpses of your enemies. That's the end of our list, but let me know down in that comment section if you can think of any other super powerful items or gear that you can grab within the first hour of a game. As always, I've been Jess from WhatCulture. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you'd like, you can come say hi to me on my Twitter account where I'm @JessMcDonnell, but make sure you stay tuned to us here for plenty more great gaming lists.